yourselves, fools. This program contains graphic language like fuck, shit, and cunt. It also contains discussions about violence and graphic descriptions of gore, such as cunt punning a dead nun while the entrails and blood splatter your face in your new shirt. I digress. This show is for adults, so dispose of your children as you see fit. Now silence and enjoy the show.
Bigfoot, undisputedly the world's most entertaining cryptid. Join the Reverend Jeff Kelly and your old pal Wes as they discuss the best and worst the media has to offer. Movies, books, TV shows, commercials, all on Bigfoot Entertainment Weekly.
Hey everybody, it's Reverend Jeff, and we are here live with Bigfoot Entertainment Weekly. That's right. That's the show where we watch all the bad crap so you don't have to. With me, as always, is your old pal, Sir Wesley Losner of WesLosner.com. That's right. Go out and buy some art, you damn cheap bastards. Holy Christ. I can't believe it all the time. Season 2, we've done this. Not one of you have gone out there and got a print from this man. Bunch of... Anyhow, let's digress from that for just a moment and talk about, the truth behind Bigfoot.
They all hate me even more.
This actually came out as American Paranormal Bigfoot at one point or another. National Geographic released it. Cameron Young and I were earlier trying to get him to be able to watch this stupid thing. Apparently, National Geographic doesn't like Canada. Like most of the rest of the world, I guess they just don't think Canada's worth anything. It's like, Canada, America's hat. But we finally worked out the details so he could catch a copy of this as well.
I fucking love Canada.
Dude, it is on YouTube, and it's under American Paranormal Bigfoot 06. There's a link to it at the blog. It's squatchitall.blogspot.com. If you're not a member of Squatch It All on Facebook, you should go out there and click that little like button, because a bunch of you have already missed out on giveaways and product things that are out there that I'm not really advertising a lot that's out there. So you might want to get a hold of it and get there, facebook.com/squatchitall, because there's all kind of cool stuff that's getting given away by companies out there, and I'm tracking it down for you guys. That's right. Besides the regular blog posts and monster info and the Squatchers Lounge podcast and Bigfoot Entertainment Weekly, and that's right, season 2 of Bigfoot Campfire Stories has also been released. Holy crap, there's so much going on that you didn't even notice that the Squatchers Lounge podcast is on hiatus. So that's right. We're out for 2 weeks. We were gone last week. We'll be gone this week. Hopefully, we'll return the week after. We're just taking a break, regrouping, and getting some better topics and a little better content going on. That's what's happening. And now we're talking about the truth behind Bigfoot. I like this one. I like this one a lot, Sir Wesley. I forgot which one that was until, of course, we all rewatched it. And this one brought us a lot of new stuff. And this one really, as far as like the Patterson-Gimlin film is concerned, changed the way research went down there. And we'll talk about it as this show goes along, because it was kind of the main feature of what was happening. So let's get it started, Sir Wesley.
Okay, so this came out, 2009, right?
2010 was the release of the American Paranormal Bigfoot. Okay. IMDb says that we have Carlos Velazquez, Doug Devine, Russ Garrett, William Munns, I guess that's Bill Munns, Jeffrey Meldrum, Herbert Mosner, John Minciotti, Scott Lynn, Joe Russo. That's who we see throughout the different... Joe and Russo. A.D. Shinha as the Bigfoot. Pop up the first base.
Why is that funny to me? I just don't know why that's so funny to me. But yeah, so we start out and it's like fucking showing like footprints and then Patty, and then fucking shows a little bit of the meldrum. You get this whole intro to the documentary where it's showing bits and pieces of it, you know, and it's giving you a clue of what it's going to be. I do like this one. It's put together really fucking good, I think, and they make it interesting, even in their little like, okay, we're gonna cut to another scene to talk to something else. Just that in between, like the graphics and the way they do the footprints through the whole documentary, I like it. It's like it's leading you on this trail. You know, it was good. Okay, but I'll stop with all that bullshit. Fucking. So you get this like nice history intro on Bigfoot and fucking all that. Like they talk about that for a little bit, and then they go right into Bluff Creek and they give the whole run through, you know, of what went down there and everything with Roger Patterson, sorry. And then what's it called? 3 dudes, I forget what they say. It's like 2 engineers and a what? Something like the
2 engineers and a pilot.
I don't know what the fuck. Yeah, go investigate the fucking, you know, the film site and shit. And then they take this whole helicopter scene.
Yeah, they fly this helicopter down into Bluff Creek, and you know, nobody knows where the fuck they're going. In 2010, so this was filmed in 2009. We didn't know where the real PG film site was. All they were going on was their best guesses upon where it should be. So when they flew this helicopter in there, they literally had no idea. There could have been 3 places at the time that the Patterson-Gimlin film could have been, and none of them were right. And they just happened to land on a random sandbar that they had room to land the helicopter on, and surprise, that was the right one. No, actually, no, it wasn't.
Yeah, and I think when we went there, I think Rowdy showed us where the helicopter landed.
Yeah, because Rowdy was actually out there on the trail and saw the helicopter land and went down and found out what was going on.
Well, then, so fucking after that, they, I make note, like, yeah, they're at the wrong place. That's not the fucking film site, you know?
On
like,
the wrong side
and
of the
then,
creek.
so they're, yeah. But then you get that they're doing this digital rendition and everything. So they've got scanners of the whole area and all this bullshit, and they're doing all this. And then you get Bill Munn's, you know, introduction into the documentary and everything. And he is at Patricia Patterson's house, the wife to Roger. And Munn's, you know, doing a study on the film and shit like that.
Now, when I was watching the movie earlier, I told you I was actually was getting Cameron a copy of it so he could watch it too. We were almost watching it simultaneously and going back and forth, and he had a question that I didn't know the answer to, and to my knowledge, I don't think it's ever happened. If Bill Munns was in the Patterson house and had access to the film, because that's where they said that he actually did the digital copying of it, why didn't he interview Patricia Patterson? I don't know that there's ever been an interview of Mrs. Patterson anywhere. I really don't know that anyone's ever gotten what she thinks of the whole matter on video, to my knowledge. I don't know about you. Do you know of any? Anybody in the chat room out there know of any interviews with Patricia Patterson? I'd really like to know.
I can tell you who would know, but you don't want to hear it. And, you know, Dark Clouds would probably
Darth Streifert. Get a hold of Darth Streifert. He's probably watching. That's what's funny. Yeah, we know there's interviews with Roger, but we just don't know where there's interviews with Patricia.
Yeah, well, I mean, that would be, you know, something interesting. But from there, the Meldrum comes out, and he's introduced as the world's most top expert on Bigfoot. That's his title.
I died when that happened, dude. I was like, what? The top expert on something that's not been proven to exist. Congratulations.
And I
Ego
got, yeah,
Oh, they
you
get
know,
me. How do you want to be introduced there, Jeff? Because that's how most of the time it happens. When the voiceover stuff is done way later. You know, when all this stuff is filmed, you're like, well, okay, Jeff, well, when we put this thing together, how do you want to be introduced? The world's utmost expert on Bigfoot. Talk about stroking your freaking ego, bro. Holy crap. Dr. Jeffrey Meldrum. Woo. Anyhow. Hey, Cameron asked, is this
So then
before
from-
or after he lost his credibility? I loved it.
Well, yeah. So then fucking they talk about, like, you know, what they always do, you know, where the bodies, where the bones. So you get this whole run through of how the bones would, and the soil and everything, like, you know, we've heard it before, you know, so, and I've said it probably several times on this and how they discuss that. So watch it again. But then they go on and start talking about footprints, and then the Meldrums gets to show his cast collection, you know.
The Meldrum
And so he's
is extensive. See my casts.
Yeah.
My casts are large. My casts are impressive. Please look at my extensive collection of casts because I am the utmost expert on Bigfoot in the world. Declares the Meldrum.
So then you get, you know, they're talking about Biggie's foot and bones, and then they talk about hoaxers that do fake prints, and they mention Ray Wallace, and then the Meldrum, like,
Straps on a pair of
the Meldrum
plywood-
makes it a point to say, yeah.
Yeah, the Meldrum straps on a pair of
Oh, the Meldrum makes it a point to say,
Go ahead. 3 seconds delay. Oh my god. Meldrum makes it a point to
I don't even know what the fuck he says. He says you can't fake them all. That's all
That's
I'm trying
right.
to
That's
say.
right. That's an important point in this documentary is the fact that you can't fake them all. You might be able to fake a bunch, and you might be able to fake a lot, and you might be able to fake out most people, but you're not going to be able to fake them all, and you're not going to be up where we find them faking them. Because if we find you faking them up there, you're probably not coming out. We're probably going to like tie you to a tree and hope for the best because that's what you deserve.
Leave you around happy camp.
If I find you anywhere near my investigation area leaving fake Bigfoot tracks, somebody will find you there the next spring. It won't be pretty.
Rawr.
Swing and a miss, strike 2.
So back to Munns and the PG film, and he's studying it, and they, you know, go through that again. And then the Meldrum goes to Wyoming, and he's joined by John Mayenzinski, and they go out on a little expedition because they heard
Wyoming?
of something
Really? You went
recently.
on an expedition to Wyoming?
Yeah.
What's there to expedition in Wyoming? You went on a camping trip in Wyoming. You went on an investigation in Wyoming, but I don't think there's much of an excursion through Wyoming or recent Bigfoot sightings. Where? Wyoming? Are you? We're definitely not. Well, this is even before the friggin' skier squatches of thinker thunker stupid Bigfoot. Sorry, I digress. Back to the story.
So then they talk, you know, Mayenzinski and the narrator or whatever talk, you know, food sources and about bears, and I think even Meldrum mentions something about bears, and then Mayenzinski says something about bears, and then there's like this, like, everybody was like bears, and it was like boom, 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 and everybody started dancing. I'm just kidding, but so then they get the team that looks at the biomechanics of the Patterson-Gimlin or whatever the fuck, the film site, film or whatever the fuck, all right? The fucking thing walking, all right? Sorry. And my notes are fucked. But so they're trying to find out if a human can imitate the gait of Biggie while walking. And so they introduce Scott Lynn, who's like this biomechanics like Jedi master, and fucking Joe Russo, who's I don't know who the fuck he is. He was something.
Jedi Master
And then
was a bitch. That's who he was. The Jedi Master.
yeah, I don't know.
That whole setup. Let me address that whole setup here for just a minute. Holy shit. Okay. Can we get a human to replicate the gate? Yes, after hours and hours of coaching and trying to be as uncomfortable as fucking possible. Yes, you can make a human replicate that gait. Okay. But that human was 7 foot tall. Can we get a human who's 5 foot tall to replicate that gait? Probably not. But somebody who's 7 foot tall plus can probably have the lengthy enough limbs to be able to replicate that gait. That's great. So that makes him 1 in 100 million. That's what they come to the conclusion later on in the show. So, who taught Bob? If that's Bob Hieronymus in a fucking suit down there on the sandbar, who taught Bob to walk like that? Because humans don't walk like that. Originally, somebody would have had to taught whoever that person in that suit was to not walk like a human. And where did they do that? Because none of the sandbars, north, south, east, or west, anywhere around where they filmed that, were used as test locations because everybody spread out afterwards and searched all those locations. There was no hoaxing going on. So, anyhow, I digress. Jackass, loopy 7 foot taller can lumber around like a Sam Squanch after hours of coaching by a biomechanics engineering guru. Great.
So from there they introduced costume designer Peter Brook, who works for Jim Henson's Creature Shop. And so they start talking about, okay, if it was a fake, who made the suit? And they start talking about, suit makers and the technology of the suits or whatever the fuck, the stretchy, hair and the way they make suits, like the technology that they had back then and everything. And could it have been made? And after that, they talk about the whole musculature, and they give you the whole rundown of Patty in the film of like each muscle that's being shown, and they're like naming off the muscles and just showing you each one that flares up and is seen in the video and everything.
And that's a very, very good.
And then
to make. Sorry, my stuttering's picking up a little bit tonight. When they get to showing the muscles, we recently we've had this picture of a Sasquatch and a dog with the sunset going down, floating around. Oh, I think it might be real. But when you look at it, the damn creature looks like it's wearing furry Levi's. But when you see the Patterson-Gimlin film stabilized, of course, for years and years and years we couldn't see this, but after the stabilization, you can literally see the hair off of the muscles, off of the legs. They look like hairy legs. They don't look like hair-covered Levi's. Pop up the first base. All right. Error.
Yeah, so from there they talk about DNA samples and how up to date they've failed, and then the Meldrum, talks about hairs and shit like that, and he goes on this trip to snag Bigfoot hairs using pheromones and hooks and shit like that, some kind of snare shit to fucking attract a Bigfoot and snag some hair. And then they explain how that thing works or whatever the fuck. I don't get that that's going to fucking attract something. I think it's going to go and look at that and go, okay, well, that's obviously not what I'm smelling. You know? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, if they're that smart, even bears aren't that dumb, they're going to look at that and go, okay, that's something fucking dangerous. You can't eat that. Just a shiny string in the air. Oh, yeah, I'm going to take a real bite out of that. That made no sense to me, but yeah, okay. I'm not a scientist or a biologist, so cool idea there, fellas. But anyways, back to the Meldrum and the Mayanzinski. And they talk about how with some hair samples, they can't match DNA, but it's got primate in it. And they've got like 14 or 15 samples or something that have been tested. But, you know, they don't have a body to match.
They don't have a source.
They
don't have a source to match up the hair to, which really starts to get a little weird. You have all these results with no source.
Right from there, they talk about the unusual anatomy of Patty and all that shit. For a little bit, and then Munns just comes out and is like, "Yo, this shit's real." He's like, "Hey, it's real."
He is a little bit biased.
This shit's real. Yeah,
Bill Munns is definitely a little bit biased.
From there, with Munns, they start getting into the whole, like, well, how tall was Patty and everything, and she's walking and stuff. They never called her Patty in this, but
no,
I'm calling her Patty. But, so they talk about that, and then they do this digital reconstruction, and they show this, like, cartoon Bigfoot, like,
based on the wrong location.
Yeah, they had to add a big tree.
Yeah, they had to add a
bunch of shit, you know.
Yeah.
And then, it was just funny. But then Meldrum scans the cast of Patties from that day or whatever that they took.
That was also the introduction to the new laser scan system at Idaho State University. The digital laser scan of Dr. Meldrum's collection began with the Patterson foot.
Yeah. And so maybe right from now would be a good time to
give the shout outs.
What's up? Yeah, because we only got a little bit more to go.
Sounds like a plan to me, sir. Let's see who's hanging out in the lounge live chat room this evening. Let's see. First one out of the door was Frank Smith. How you doing, Frank? Glad you could stop in.
Smith from Florida.
Frank Smith from Florida. Yeah, I guess. Hey, Rod Dupree from Colorado. Glad to see.
Rod Dupree in the motherfucking place to be, son.
They were waiting for hours, dude. I love that. Starshine. I really hope you're a chick, because if you're a dude, I'm going to start really weird about it after a while. Let's see here. Who else was that? Cameron Young stops in. Dude, that was fun today watching the show with you. The Life and Times of JCM. That's right. Jevin Moore, our Jesus Christ of Monterey Bay. Got a really nice headlamp, dude. I can't wait to see you do a video of that thing in the dark, man. You need to do a how-to video on that thing. Let's see who else is. I'm not sure how to pronounce that name. Gin. He's from Dean Cooper. Gin from
DB Cooper.
Dean Cooper. How you doing there?
DB Cooper. Straight out of an airplane.
What's
going on, bro?
Hey, Baz. All right. He made it on time tonight for the show. I think that's the first time we've seen you in. So how you doing there, sir? Fool Crizzy. There ain't no A in there. So I guess you want to say fool crazy, but fool crazy, because there ain't no A. How you doing there?
Full
Johnny
crazy.
Joseph Woj. God bless you, son. Your last name is
Johnny
just like
Joseph Jinkelheimer Schmidt.
Dude, it's like WOJCIK. You're missing a vowel in there somewhere, brother. Hey, glad you could stop in to see us tonight. My neighbors are like, "What the hell's going on over there? That guy's talking like he's on the radio." No shit. I know I saw some more people down here, so I'm scrolling just a little bit and saving just a little bit of time. Wait. There's somebody new. No crap. Wow, you guys talk a lot out there while we're on the air. That's freaking awesome. I could have swore I saw Mr. Bamf. Yeah, Mr. Bamf Hoop Masturbate, but somehow I got lost. Don Rife, how you doing? Glad to see you. The campfire stuff is out there.
Holy shit, that guy sounds like a car salesman. Come on down and see
Come
Don
on down and see Don Rife. I got a car for you. Slam Havoc. Hey, how you doing, Collar Williams? Glad you can make it, buddy. That's right, boss
Slam
of the
Havoc.
woods. You guys are going to be
Sounds like a
amazed by
sexual
that movie when it
position.
comes. Yeah, it could be. Sexual Wilms. Yeah, I know. Hey, speaking of films,
I gave her the old Slam Havoc.
Silent C, is that what it is? So it's Wojcik. Johnny Joseph Wojcik. Yeah, it's silent because y'all need a damn vowel in between them damn consonants, brother. It's all good. Anyhow, that's who's hanging out in the lounge tonight. I'm going to be starting to film the Sierra documentary, actually, hopefully starting this Thursday. So that's what's happening in my world. Let's get back to the rest of the show. Thanks for stopping into the lounge tonight, guys.
Yeah, we love you guys.
We love you. We do, especially when you're
back to the. Yeah. Sorry. But so the first time that they tested all the height and everything, they got this measurement of 4'8", and I forget the word they called it, but they made a funny word to describe it, you know. And so the second time they tested it, the patty was like, I forget, like 8 foot or 7'6" or some bullshit. And then the measurement the Meldrum gave, because of the way the size of the foot and everything, puts her at about 8 foot tall. And so then they show you the full-on 3D recreation. It's all finished, and you get to see this like thing.
Muscle masses.
Yeah. But like full-on like PlayStation 2 GTA graphics, like of like a monkey standing tall, like, because like it was just not Patty, but it was a horrible, like Wolfenstein on the computer back in the 90s, like seriously, like bad. But anyways, yeah, so.
Well, they only had so much money left, and the render on that to make it any better was too expensive for them to afford. So they just said, screw it. Low quality, gents. That's the way we do shit around here. Woo!
Yeah. They'll love it. Field.
Runners rounding second.
And then, what's it called? We got a streaker! Oh, dude. I'm always like at a baseball game, I'm always like, fuck, man, that would be so dope if there was like a streaker right now. That'd be funny as fuck, but it's never lucky. Never lucky.
Hey, if you want to streak on the show, you let me know early enough. I'll send you a live link to the hangout that we're doing the live show in. If you're going to come through and streak, I'll let you. You just come into the live show with your smartphone, streak it, and exit out. Just send me a message ahead of time that you want to come through and streak.
No, don't do this, people. I'll learn how to stop saying fuck for y'all if you do not do this. But yeah, so they talk about the Patterson-Gimlin film, and they talk about how it's convincing but not conclusive, and the best science. Is this the best science can do? And you know, like what evidence will we have, and what, you know, did we miss? And they just like, it's like him, you know, ending the documentary is just, you know, like.
They always leave it up to you. Oh, you make up your own mind. Is it real or is it not real?
Is this definitive proof? And, you know, like, fucking, will we ever get a real hoverboard? You know, like, where are
the flying cars of the future like, actually going to be these quadcopters? Inquiring minds want to know. Here's what I got out of this.
It basically ends, you know?
Yeah. This documentary was actually important because a lot of money was actually put into things that we're still using in Bigfoot research today. Bill Munns's digitization of the frame-by-frame copy of the Patterson film ended all debate about artifacts on film. because he was able to get as close to an original copy as possible. And I think it was like a Gen 3, not even a Gen 2. I mean, it's even still 2 copies away from the original. The original was a negative. So there is no original Patterson film. The original was a negative. They take that negative to a photo developer and they develop it. I mean, it's basically rolls of pictures. I mean, that's literally what it is with sound. So they develop it, and that becomes Generation 2. Generation 1 is your negative. Generation 2 is your first copy, your color copy. To make Generation 3, then, they have to throw Generation 2 in a projector and put it on a wall, and they line up a recorder next to it, a video recorder next to it, and that's how they make Generation 3. That's how we end up with, oh, she's got a hernia in her leg. There's no way that could be a costume. Well, no, comes out that was just a bubble in the film when they came through with Generation 3 or 4 or 5 or who freaking knows how many generations it was by that point. So by going back to the source as close as they could to make that digital copy, all of that crud went away. Like they said, we no longer have fingers in the video. We don't have anything. You can't really even see a hand in the original video. But then it went on to the stabilization. The stabilization is what allowed us to see these muscle groups.
I'm MK Ultra. Thanks for watching.
That's right. Well, now MK Ultra, MK Davis, MK Davis then takes Bill Munz's work and goes through it even more so, digitizing frame by frame. And now, instead of this little tiny Bigfoot walking across the sandbar that we have going over here that we can barely see, that's all jittery, we now have a Bigfoot that's this big in our frame, and it's perfectly still. And you can see the hair and the muscle groups and everything else. There's been a tremendous amount of work that's been done to it since then, but this was actually the money that was spent and invested through this documentary to get them to do this particular project and digitize the original copy. And that's like huge. That's huge. So a lot of this money, documentary money, went into doing those types of things. I say it's probably one of the most important amount of money that's been spent documentary wise for the continued investigation of Bigfoot. That's really where I see this documentary in the end of it. It was very, very important money to have been spent, because if it wasn't spent, I don't even know that the Patterson film would even still be holding up as good as it is today.
What's that shit that the CIA injects people to get information out of them?
Sodium pentothal.
There you go. I think we need to inject some people that are still alive that went through this and just get the truth out.
Get the truth.
Anybody in the CIA, come reach out to us.
You know, I have access to a lot of these people. I might be willing to, to show you which one's the jab. We can go on a couple of trips, and I bet you we could get the real story out of what's going on out there. Me personally, The Truth Behind Bigfoot, or American Paranormal Bigfoot Episode 6, I'm down with it. I dig it. I like it. I watch it when it comes on TV. And I'm glad we did this one tonight. I give it a double thumbs up. Everybody should watch this one. It's actually kind of an important documentary in modern Bigfoot investigation, because if this wasn't convincing, why bother? I mean, I've seen them outside of this, but if you've never had an encounter on your own and you're really only going on what the Patterson, your feelings on whether the Patterson film was real or not, if it couldn't hold up at this point, why continue?
Yeah. And it's a good one. I definitely say watch it. I'd end up watching it again. I know.
On a scale of 1 to 5 squatches, how many squatches are you giving it?
I'd say 4 squatches. 4 squatches.
There you go,
5,
people.
just because
The official season 2. The official season 2 squatch list. That's right. The first one to hit a 4 would be The Truth Behind Bigfoot. Hey, that's going to wrap it up for this one this week. I know it's a short episode, but Christ, the damn thing's only 45 minutes long. We can't really have a podcast longer than the actual show, can we? I think we've done it a time or two. Next week, join us back for we're gonna take a look at one that's gonna follow this one up nicely. Jesus, God in Heaven. It's Meldrum's heavenly friggin' book, Legend Meets Science. Sasquatch Legend Meets Science. We're gonna follow this documentary up with that documentary and see what the differences really were in just 2 years.
There you go.
There you go.
Go.
A little more excitement would be nice, jackass. Hey, come and
Sorry, I just don't get excited for the Meldrum anymore, man.
Meldrum, I know. It's a shame we used to. We will have more What the Fuck Theater coming up next week, as well as, from what I heard, we'll be allowed to make a phone call to Esteban and record it. He'll be able to leave a message for everybody next week. So, thanks for watching the Bigfoot Entertainment Weekly for your old pal Wes at weslosner.com. Cheap bastards. I'm the Reverend Jeff Kelly. We say thanks for watching. May the Squatch be with you.
In your butthole. Your butthole. In your butthole. Butthole.
See you next week.
Butthole.